Hello again and welcome to Arch Eats. My name is George Mahey.
And I'm Cheryl Bear.
And today we are going to address a question that's frequently asked of both of us. Restaurants that are good but are also inexpensive. And we will end today's segment with a micro rant about table napkins, what we like about them, but mainly what we don't.
This episode of Arch Eats is sponsored by the Magic House.
But first, it's what I can't stop thinking about. I don't know about you, but I've started a list of these. This has gotten easier and easier, which makes it harder and harder because we just get one. What you got this week?
So this weekend, I had a moment with a breakfast sandwich at Tower Grove Farmers Market, and I still cannot, I really can't stop thinking about this. I can't stop talking about it. I think I've told, the person at the gas station, some random dog walker.
It became a long moment.
It did, exactly. So at Tower Grove Farmers Market, they have that kind of almost a little food court area
right.
When you kind of first walk in coming from the west. And Farm Spirit is there. Now, Farm Spirit is this, they do pop-up dinners and, things here and there. Ryan McDonald, who, he's been all around in the St. Louis culinary scene, super talented chef. But, he's affiliated with Farm Spirit, and they do several things there. They do a smash burger, a couple other sandwiches, but they do this breakfast sandwich that is made with such and such farms pork. They make their own breakfast sausage. So right there, that's all you need to know about this thing. They are griddling these patties of breakfast sausage. They look like smash burgers. I mean, they are absolutely outrageous.
It's got to smell great, too.
Oh, my gosh. It's like a siren song, like a smell version of a siren song. So this sausage is just perfectly seasoned, nice and rustic texture. They just put it on a really good, griddled bun, American cheese. They actually will cook your eggs to order for you, which is something unheard of when you're not mass producing, but when you're doing something quickly.
At a farmer's market.
At a farmer's market, I know it. But the key to this thing, though, besides the pork sausage, they have this sauce they call Yucky sauce, which is a hilarious name, and maybe it's because it looks kind of
so bad that it's good,
unattractive. So they take shallots and garlic, and they caramelize them until they're almost charred or burnt, and then they mix them with not burnt, but just that perfect super
caramelization.
Exactly. They mix them with black vinegar, rice vinegar, and an aioli. So, garlic mayonnaise there, basically. And it is this, allium forward goo. It's so umami. There's a little bit of funk to it. It's the best thing. I want to put it on everything. So, yes, if you were at Tower Grove Farmers Market, you have to stop and get this.
So at that Farm Spirit stand, they sell jarred items. They sell chili crisp and hot sauces and preserved lemons. Do they also sell this?
They
sauce?
do.
They should.
They do. And I didn't get to try the chili crisp, but a lot of people were just dousing. They actually have a little thing where you can try the chili crisp, and people are just throwing it all over everything. I didn't want that to conflict with the yucky sauce. So next time I think I'm going chili crisp to see what it does. But yeah, it's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Every time you go to the farmer's market, you can find things like that. It's wait, where have you been? Oh, we've been here for a couple. That place is so massive and it sprawls everywhere. They've got 150 different booths. But yeah, love Tower Grove Farmer's Market. This just hit me all of a sudden, and it's a general one. It's tableside finishing, tableside presentation of entrees. And the reason I'm thinking about it is I had the fried rice at recently opened Jinzen in Clayton, which has got this, they pour scrambled eggs around the side of this hot plate, and in the middle of it is fried rice. So all this egg is cooking to order at your table in front of you, and they're folding it in and incorporating it into this fried rice dish. And I mean, everybody gets one. It's delicious. It's one of their signature items, and it's fun. And it's one of those, can you stop that? So I need to take a little video of that really quick. But I love stuff like that. And it reminded me of that seafood risotto dish that they do out at Napoli Sea.
Oh, yeah, and the Parmesan,
where
right?
they pour, they put grain alcohol in a half wheel of Parmesan and light it up, soften up the cheese, dump some hot risotto in there, and then scrape some of that Parmesan into the cheese.
Wow.
Anyway, it happens all over town. There's gumbo that they pour out of a nice copper pan at Truffles. They pour it around that timbal of
Yep.
rice that's so good. And of course, there's guys like Paul Manos and Tony's and John Minio's where they're doing everything tableside. And of course, Cyrano's for desserts. That might be the most fun when they're lighting everything on fire.
Twisted Tree does their steak finishing.
I want to see more of that. When I talked to Vince Bomarito years ago, he said, I think this is going away. I don't think this is going to happen anymore. And it's kind of gone away, but it's still kind of there. And I think restaurants don't want to mess with it because it's too difficult. But if you're only doing 1 or 2 items, I say go for it. It's not that hard to teach people. A couple of items, that's all you need to do. You don't need your whole menu. For dinner house restaurants, it can be a big draw. I want that to continue.
Yeah, it's kind of the theater of dining. It's why you go out to eat. You can cook for yourself at home, but touches like that are really special.
And some people say, just serve me the food. I don't want to see the whole show. I disagree. I think that's part of the experience, and I think that's what makes it fun.
No, absolutely. Well, that sounds like a blast.
Yeah. And interestingly, most of these dishes are a little bit more expensive because of the finishing, because it just takes more labor, more time, more equipment. But at Jinzen, it wasn't that expensive, and I was really impressed with that. And that kind of brings us to what we were going to talk about. We both get asked, what's a good place to go that's also inexpensive? What's the best restaurant in town, and what's your favorite restaurant in town?
Are those the 3? Always that. What are you? Some people are nice enough to ask for the top 5 because there's so much pressure.
Lately, inexpensive is the operative word. Prices have gone up everywhere. It's hit us all. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is places that you can go to for dinner that are nice and inexpensive. But let's lay out some parameters first, because this could get odd. I say we deal with full-service restaurants only, because that's why you go out a lot of the time. And this is like no casual food, no fast food, a place that's comfortable but not super dressy, a place where you're going to have entrees and not just a burger, a place that has, my parameter has always been entrees in the teens, priced in the teens.
Well,
we just had to change that.
It's almost impossible.
It's now entrees in the teens and 20s.
Yes. In 20s is even
right. And even that's getting
get to.
tough. So, 5 years ago, it was different. I thought this would be a very short list.
Yeah.
But we ended up with quite a few.
We were actually really surprised. I think when we were putting our list together, we were thinking, my gosh, everywhere is like $40-$50 now.
Yeah, this will be, we'll have 6 or 8.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
We'll be out of this podcast in 10 minutes.
Yeah, the next thing you know, we had, probably like 30, 40 places on there.
Right.
And so rather than, just go on and on and on and make this a 3-hour episode, we decided, well, there has to be kind of a natural break to this. And I think what we saw is there were a lot of really wonderful international restaurants on this list. Like, I have a couple Indian spots that I absolutely love. There are a couple really great, really fun new modern Chinese restaurants that are on there as well.
There's too many. There were too many. And that's what we decided to do, was break this into 2 episodes, like we did with patios. Otherwise, like you said, it would have gotten too unwieldy.
Yeah.
So we're leaving most of those, what we'll call international ones, off the list until episode 2, which will be a little tease for folks to tune into that. A lot of them ended up being Italian, which I guess I don't really want to call international. This is more Italian-American almost.
Yeah. This is closer to Jersey than Calabria here, for sure.
For sure. And so we both made up a little list. This is kind of random order.
So my first choice is Almonds, the absolutely delightful neighborhood restaurant in Clayton on Maryland Avenue that's been there. Gosh, I guess they opened in 1997. Tony and Kelly Almond. I love his story, how he signed, I think it was a 6-month or a year lease because he thought he just needed to get the restaurant business out of his system. And now here we are.
Well, he's been there every night ever since.
Decades later.
He and Kelly. And that's one of the reasons he's so successful.
Yes.
They're both there working it every night. And that's important. And people expect to see him. And that.
Yes.
Plus, it's not expensive. That's
it's
really,
not expensive
that's
at
the
all.
reason that we're here.
It's really great. You get a complete meal. Their entrees range between $18 and $26. He says it's a Southern inflection, but it's not like Southern comfort food or anything like that. It's more like things. They have a really great pan-fried chicken. Their peppercorn beef fillets, one of their favorite, kind of one of their crowd pleasers there. I've had the trouts. They have a really great Idaho trout that's fantastic. And then you have to save room for their absolutely insane house specialty blueberry bread pudding. I don't know if you've had that,
I've
but
not had that.
it is so good. It's just that gooey and delicious and warm. Yummy
I
there.
like it. I like sitting in that patio. It's a
Yes.
brick elevated sidewalk patio, and it's just you're off the street just enough. It's really nice, and it's they've got the little blackboard menu
Yes.
still. It's very charming.
And to me, it's what dining in Clayton used to be like
Yes.
before all the high
Right,
rises
right.
came
It
in.
should be
So
that.
there's maybe a nostalgic feel there for me. But yeah, so that's number one on my list. Almonds. I love it. I'll knock out a couple
Yeah, let's do it.
other
Yeah.
ones here. Why not? So the one I went to recently that absolutely blew me away is Cafe Provençal. And I know this is a favorite of yours.
Could have been number one on my list.
Yes, absolutely. I'm sorry I stole that.
That's all
That's
right.
what you get for winning the coin toss last time, right? At the barbecue draft. But so I went there a couple weeks ago and I was shocked that I think it was 45. It was definitely in the mid 40s. They had a 3-course dinner and it wasn't like a limited dinner. You could pick 3 courses from any category of the menu. So I started with a crab cake. I had an asparagus salad. I finished with a braised beef. Unbelievable.
It's so funny. I have done that before.
Yes.
I've done that exact thing and gone, wait a minute, here's a $30 entree and I can pair it with a 50. I can save $15 here if I
Seriously.
work this right.
Blows your mind.
I know. That's a lot to
Yeah.
save on a prefix menu.
And a lot of places who do those menus, they'll add a surcharge just on like every other thing, like an upcharge for it. All of them were the same price. It's just that set price there. Huge portions. I mean, not like, make 3 meals out of it portions, but really substantial, good
substantial.
portions. Delicious food. Everything was flawlessly cooked. I was a huge fan.
Well, and it's one of few French restaurants in town, and that's a whole other thing. If we did a French restaurant podcast, it would last about 4 minutes. But Cafe Provençal is definitely at the top of the great but inexpensive pile. But this is interesting. I looked at their menu, and it was it's like they haven't updated it in a while.
Yeah.
The entrees were in the low 20s, and I called them and I said, is this really correct?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you know what? It wasn't.
Oh.
Entrees that were 24 are now 28.
Okay.
Your $45 prefix is now 48.
Okay,
So,
yeah, a couple bucks here and there. but-
Again, a lot of times these things are not up to date, and it's still a heck of a deal. But I think it's a sign of the times. Instead of those entrees being in the mid-20s, they're in the high 20s. But they're
Exactly.
still a heck of a deal. I know they're going to update their menu after we talked, but
Yeah, right.
I know they do a lunch menu too. And some of it's just so, they have a poulet grillé,
Ugh,
a grilled chicken.
I love it.
They have le Reuben, and it's a darn good Reuben too. But anyway, and l'impossible burger.
Oh my gosh,
I know
this is too much.
It's too much. They don't have a regular burger, but they have an impossible burger.
I mean,
Anyway,
sounds wonderful.
Cafe Provençal is beautiful, and that outside patio. It's fun when that really gets busy. They'll set tables in the grass, and you can dine with your toes in the grass, which is just awesome.
I love it.
Hats off to Cafe Provençal. Do one more.
Yeah, that's great. So another one that, I mean, maybe you could put it on a Greek place, but they have a diverse enough menu that I think it's kind of like that classic American restaurant, is Michael's. Michael's out on Manchester, just east of Maplewood. I think it's technically city.
People
at
call it
that point.
Maplewood, but it's in the
It's
city.
technically city, exactly. But it's, on the eastern edge of that Maplewood Main Street strip. And this is such a lovely place. The thing that I find so fun, did you know it actually started out years ago as a hole in the wall dive called Nick's Little Pebble? That was the original name of this
No,
place.
I did not.
And it was pretty rough. When it changed in 1979, that's when they turned it into more of an actual sit-down restaurant. A little bit Greek inflected there. The owner, his daughter runs it now, but the owner, he got into cooking. He was a cook in the Greek army, and he had no cooking experience whatsoever, but he got into it because he wanted to make sure he ate good. So he raised his hand when they asked if anyone could cook. So you're going to get great Greek fare there. Their grilled lamb and their lamb shake are fantastic. Qui Tran from Miley, he gets the liver and onions. Every single time he goes there, he swears by it. He says it's his favorite thing. You're going to get most of the entrees in the, 20s. The highest thing on their entire menu is $32. So this is good. Good stuff there.
If you've ever picked up anything to go there, that is an incredible business. Their
Yeah.
to-go business is like a machine.
Yes.
They've got people everywhere, tickets everywhere, people picking up things. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen, and nobody misses a beat. It's a really well-run restaurant, and the food's really good. And we're not doing a lot of bar and grill type places here, but we made an exception for Michael's, and I think that was justified because it's that good.
Because you can get a steak. You know, you can get like a steak and potato there. It's not just burgers and sandwiches there. So that's why we threw it on there.
We'll be right back.
Children can discover the world through play as they explore the Magic House's newest exhibits. Inspired by the hit PBS Kids series Alma's Way, Welcome to My Neighborhood lets you explore Alma's Bronx neighborhood, learn Bamba dance, visit a bodega, and more. But that's not all. Storytime Magic brings beloved stories to life. Kids can explore Winnie the Pooh's treehouse, step inside the pages of Goodnight Moon, and even transform into characters from their favorite stories and take center stage.
There is so much to see and do. Plan your visit to the Magic House today, where fun and learning come to play by visiting magichouse.org.
And now, back to the show. So, do you have any?
Maybe at the top of my pile, besides Cafe Provençal, is Big Sky Cafe in Webster. They've been there 30 plus years. The chef there has been there forever. He's now the owner. And what's interesting is they change the menu every week. And they post it every week. They keep theirs up to date. And on the left side are their classics that they always, and on the right side is their specials. Here's our regular salads. Here's our special salads. And they go left and right, so you can kind of pick and choose there. And it's just really, really well done. So you'll recognize the pot roast, and they've got a honey soy glazed salmon that they've had forever. And what I like about what they do there is they will do these in a lot of these entrees in half-size and full-size portions.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So the $27 entree can also be an $18 entree if you're not that hungry. I think that is a really smart thing to do. Every time I look at their specials, I'm impressed. I just looked at one today. Herb cheesecake with pomegranate apricot glaze and pistachio crust.
Ooh.
How can you say no to that?
You can't.
And a crabby avocado toast.
Ooh.
You know what restaurant people say? If you're ever trying to move something and you really want to get somebody's attention, put crab meat on it.
Yes, exactly.
And this is real crab too here, folks. This isn't that says crab salad. And I had to ask, I said, is it really crab or is it crab with crab with a K?
Exactly.
No, it's real crab. Dominic said I wouldn't have it any other way. Big Sky Cafe, just an excellent restaurant. Great patio. We've talked about the patio. Again, at the end of that street near the railroad tracks, a lot of people forget about it.
Yeah.
Another one is, I've always liked Sugo's. And this is Mike Del Pietro's one of his, it's not his signature restaurant. I guess we could call it. He's worked in restaurants since he was 12. But at Sugo's, the operative number is 17. $17 for all the pastas, $17 for all the pizzas. Just remember 17. Chicken piccata, veal piccata, 18, which is almost 17.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, that's the number. Eggplant parm is 10, and it's a monster portion. This is out in Frontenac. It's out in Edwardsville, and it's in both places. It's this casual but almost classy vibe, and it really belies the cheap entree prices. And, of course, the sister concept is called Babo's, and it's in Chesterfield, which basically has the same menu. So those are basically three places, same menu, same vibe. I just like, every part of it. Mike Del Pietro hung his hat on that. I think it was $10 or $12 when he started that lasagna that was literally as big as a bowl.
Yes.
And I said, is that a loss leader? He goes, no, I actually make money on that thing. But that's what people went in there for, that and the spaghetti and meatballs. And they've been coming in ever since.
Yeah. I mean, you can't say no to a good lasagna.
No, and it's a really good lasagna, and it's not expensive. I think it's $18 now. Here we go. Prices are going up.
Yeah, right.
Nothing we can do about it.
Exactly.
How about Antonino's on the Hill?
Oh, yes.
There's a kind of a hybrid kind of restaurant. You've got, there's a little bit of Greek influence there too. Everything's reasonably priced. They've got, fresh pasta there. They're making their own pasta. Their T-Ravs are excellent. They graced the cover of St. Louis Magazine years ago. You can get the Greek specialties, obviously, too. They're the saganaki and the spanakopita, things like that. And another one I guess we should throw into, which is similar, is Guido's on the Hill, which is nearby. Guido's does some Spanish items as well, tapas, shrimp, croquetas, skewers, baked goat cheese, lamb lollipops, all those good things.
Yeah.
And again, none of this is that expensive. And that's kind of how I like to eat. Sometimes I won't eat an entree. I won't even look at that $30 entree, but I'll look at a couple $10 and $12 appetizers, and that's my dinner along with several glasses of wine.
Well, I'm going to stick close to the hill as well for my next pick, and that's a place I just went to last week. This is Colina Eatery. Now, Colina used to be Pit Stop. This is the Joe Smagala and his partner and chef, Carlos Hernandez. They own Gastro Pit. They own El Milagro Azteca.
They own Carnivore.
Yeah, Carnivore on the Hill. Can't believe I forgot that one. That one's a huge flagship for them. But this place, it used to be called Pit Stop. And it was always, a little bit more, I wouldn't say it was elevated or upscale or anything, but it wasn't like a burger joint. And they thought that a lot of people were kind of maybe having the idea that it was because of the name. So they rebranded, they added a few new entrees on there just within the last couple months. And I was really impressed by what I saw there. They had a wonderful veal dumpling appetizer that was absolutely fantastic.
Looks beautiful, too.
Oh,
You
my
took
gosh.
a beautiful photo.
Gorgeous. Gorgeous. And a lobster arancini. I usually see them filled with either sausage or just cheese. This actually has hunks of lobster meat in the arancini, and then it's finished almost with like a bisque-like type lobster sauce to that. And it had a really fantastic chicken cordon bleu that comes with a Yukon Gold potato and cheddar gnocchi. That was wonderful. And this is another one of those places where there are very few things that are over the mid-20s on that list.
I was going to
there.
say, all
Yep.
those things you just talked about were in the 20s.
All in the 20s, exactly.
They've got a steak that's under 30,
Yes.
which is
unheard of.
that's hard to do.
Yes.
Yeah, they do. I think it's a bacon-wrapped medallions with a Parmesan risotto and
Sure.
asparagus. $28.
Yes.
Can't beat it. Colina Eatery. It's in an old filling station.
Old filling station,
And
hence the name, Pit Stop
Hence the
originally.
name, and there's two gas pumps outside in case you forget where you're going. Look
Yeah.
for the two gas pumps.
And if you want to talk about a restaurant that maximizes their space, it's unbelievable how many people they can pack in on 2 different actually 3 different patios, a bar, a small dining room that seats about 10 people. I mean, it's impressive.
It's a fun little joint, and it is. It's on the hill. It's not, it's right there.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of under, break the bank prices for steakhouses,
Well,
I have to go to Tucker's.
And I knew you'd go.
You know it. I love Tucker's. I mean, I would pay probably double for Tucker's. I love it so much. I don't want to. Don't hear that, Tucker's people. But this is just, to me, it gives you everything you want from a steakhouse without having to take out a loan to go there. And I think what's so nice about it is you get your salad and your potato included. It's not an a la carte style. What I love about them is, they have the Soulard, they have the West County, the South County location. Every one of those has that grill, that well-seasoned grill that you are going to get the most robust, delicious, meaty flavor out of the steak for some reason. I can't explain it. They put that glaze on there. It's so good.
That Andrea's steak sauce
my
that they
gosh.
use, and that's what
Heaven
does
on
it.
earth.
It caramelizes on there. That 8-ounce filet dinner. I remember when it was $19.95.
Yeah.
It was a while ago. It's $28.95 now, which isn't horrible. It's still one of the probably the cheapest filet dinner
Probably.
in town. And what I like to do is pay the extra $3 and get the fresh vegetables, and they fill the plate with them.
Yes, they do.
So for $30, you've got a heck of a dinner. You really don't need hardly anything else. You
No.
can, go to Ted Drew's afterwards if
Yeah,
you want.
exactly right.
But it's substantial. Like you said, they've been there. There's 3 of them in town. They've been there for 40-something years.
Yeah.
Tucker's is an institution, and they've kept a lid on prices for that long.
They really have. It's impressive, and it's so nice to be able to have a steak dinner somewhere without, it being ridiculously expensive.
Yep. One of the places that I like, that speaking of older places, this place has been around for almost 70 years. 70 years. Ferrado's out in Rock
I love
Hill.
Ferrado's. Yes.
Absolutely. You have a discussion about the thinnest crust pizza in the
Mhm.
city. It's Ferrado's. I don't care what anybody else
Okay.
says. Cracker crust, it is a cracker crust. It's a
Yes.
thin cracker crust, and it's really good. They sell their pizzas in 12 and 14-inch size, and just get the 14 because it's so light and there's
Yeah.
not much there that you wish you would have gotten the 14 if you didn't.
But it doesn't but the toppings don't make the pizza collapse. Like, I feel like so many times if it's a super thin crust and they pile toppings on, but this, for some reason, it's just because
I don't know how they do it.
I don't either. It's like a feat of engineering.
Yeah, it is. It holds those toppings. And for my money, we go and split a 14-inch pizza and split a large deluxe salad. And we're out of there, have a couple glasses of wine, and we're out of there for not that much money.
Yeah.
That's about as good as it gets. They've got that outdoor space now that's kind of, I guess, indoor-outdoor with the louvered roof. The inside's fine, but the outside is really cool because it kind of winds around. They've added on like 3 different times to the place. And, it's just the food's good there. There's a pasta ferrato that's one of their best pasta dishes that's got chicken and pesto and spinach and mushroom and those little mozzarella balls. But oh my gosh, I just love that place. And it's solid. It's been, I think, run by the same family for all those
Yeah.
years out in Rock Hill. And boy, it's killer.
Yeah, it is. I'm going to head out to St. Charles for, gosh,
Which you do
2
a
more
lot.
of my picks. I know. I never thought my North County self was, screaming at me on the inside. But Prosino out at Streets of St. Charles, that to me, you want to talk about a bar it is the bar Napoli of St. Charles as far as the place to be seen, perpetually packed. They have a great happy hour. That is just the gathering spot out there. But their restaurant is also fantastic. And I'm surprised with the place that does kind of have that kind of hot spot, trendy feel to it, how inexpensive, relatively speaking, their entrees were. They do this pork steak. It's a really hefty pork steak. It comes with a Fitz's sauce, like a Fitz's barbecue sauce on it. $20 for this thing. It's just
And they've got one of those.
unbelievable.
That's one of the. I remember when it first opened. That was the one of the more eclectic menus in town. I remember they had
Yes.
sushi on there, and it's like, wait, what do you guys?
They still
doing?
have sushi.
I know, and it's and the chef there, Tony Marchetto, who was the original chef, he ended up buying the place, so it's been solid and consistent for all
Yes.
those years because he's been there all those
Yeah.
years.
They've got a great brunch too. That's something to consider there. But another place that I guess people probably don't think of as far as inexpensive per se, but just when you're considering value is Noto. And Noto is, to me, it's the best Neapolitan pizza in St. Louis. In fact, it's the only certified Neapolitan pizza in St. Louis. You are going to get that perfect charred, blistery crust, the really simple San Marzano tomatoes, the fresh mozzarella, a little bit of basil. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And the thing about their pizzas is, the pizzas are in the teens. You may get a couple that start to drift up into the low 20s, but that's a meal. I mean, that is
And it's a perfect
it's a
meal.
hefty meal.
It's the poster pizza of Neapolitan
Yes.
pizzas. It's really that good. That pasta there
Oh,
is
their pasta's
outstanding.
outstanding. Yes.
And now have you been down to their downstairs, that little Cicchetti bar called Baccaro?
I have not yet been to Bacara.
Well, and I haven't either, but boy, they've got little snacks and nibbles and really a completely different menu than
Yeah.
upstairs. There's spritzes and there's wines and all kinds of goodies there. And it's no reservations, I think, unless you have more than 6 people.
Yeah.
But it's a walk-in. But upstairs at Noto, you better have a reservation because
Oh.
that place is packed all the time.
Fun fact about Noto, they have what I think is the best tiramisu in the metro area. So save room for tiramisu there. So what else is on your list?
We just ended up with a lot of Italian restaurants, I guess,
Yeah.
because the city has a lot of Italian
Yes.
restaurants. That's just the way it is. One of them's called Pan d'Olive on McCausland.
Oh, yes,
And
yes.
people will call it Pan d'Olive. They're wrong. It's Pan d'Olive. And they've got, I swear, everything is inexpensive. It's this charming place. They've got little booths that are kind of semi-private. They've got salmon and scampi and veal, and they've got all the Italian standards. There's a pork chop, and they're all under $30,
Oh,
in the
wow.
20s for sure.
Wow.
I always look at this. They're very, very hefty with their by the glass pour, which is
Oh.
important. And we're not talking about happy hours here, but when we get into happy hours, they will be at the top of that
Oh,
list
wow.
because they've got the cheapest happy hour in town.
Ooh.
It's really a fun place over on McCausland. They've got a nice little patio that's kind of elevated. But oh my gosh, it's just you walk in and you go, gosh, they haven't updated these prices in about 10 years. It's really it's amazing. The other place is Yaya's out in
Oh, I
Chesterfield.
love Yaya's is my brunch spot.
It's such a good place, and I just love how the layout, you kind of wind around and go
Mhm.
down the little ramps to the different levels. What I like about Yaya's is on their menu, they've got pictures of every item, which is always a good idea.
Mhm.
But their software on their menu allows you to make a comment for everything. If you want to talk about the carpaccio, here, tell us about the carpaccio. If you want to talk about this item, they put all the comments there. So they kind of have these all ranked and listed.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's interesting because the gnocchi is the most commented item.
Okay.
There's a carpaccio that's super popular, shrimp alla plancha. Anyway, I just love. I go, wait, I'd like to look at that shrimp, and boom, you pick it up there, and there's 25, 30, 40 comments. A lot of people like to know what they're eating before
Yes.
they get to it. They want to preview the menu. This is a really good way to do it and a really good place to do it. Yaya's out in Chesterfield. We discussed a bunch of these in advance, but I didn't even think about this
Yeah.
till later.
Okay.
And it's a fairly new place in Clayton, and it's called Ivy Cafe.
Oh, I love Ivy. What a lovely, lovely place.
And we maybe didn't think of it because it was a breakfast and lunch place
Yes.
initially. They've been known for their tartines, which is basically fancy open-faced toasts. They opened for dinner probably 6 or 7 months ago, and now it's kind of just getting out. And I'm telling you, it's one of the best deals in town.
Oh, wow.
They've got a stuffed eggplant dish, they've got a lamb pot pie, some different things, salmon, curries, all these priced in the 20s. And the intent was to do a coffee shop in the daytime and kind of a wine bar cafe at
Mhm.
night. Took them a while to get there, but I'm telling you, it's one of the best deals in
Oh,
town. And
wow.
I know those tartines are all in the mid-teens, and these entrees are very, very reasonably priced. It's this charming, cute little cafe right in the middle of Clayton. They were supposed to be over on Central at 14 North Central. I remember talking to them. We're going to go in there. And then that development went in there. He
Yeah.
said, I'm glad we didn't go in there. And now they're at 14 North Merrimack. So they just moved exactly one block to the west.
Yeah.
But that's where they are, Ivy Cafe in Clayton. I threw a couple wine bars in just together because they all kind of do the same thing. Like I said, I like that. I tend to eat kind of small plate style.
Mhm.
I'll eat off the left side of the menu, like I
Yeah.
like to say. And these wine bars kind of all do that. 119 North in Kirkwood
Yes.
is one of the better ones. Again, it's just a charming little neighborhood restaurant, and they've got not a lot of things on the menu, little taco trios that are great. They've got bacon wrapped dates. It's a good weeknight spot.
Mhm.
Really good wine and really good wine glasses. I like the wine glasses so much. I found out where they got them and I ordered them for myself.
What's special about them?
They're just really gracious. They've got a
Ooh.
little tilt at the top.
Okay.
They're different than any wine glasses I've ever seen. So that's 119 North. And of course, we can't mention wine bars without talking about the granddaddy of wine bars, Robust
Of course.
in Webster. And really always well done, well marketed. The food's good. It's a rollicking place. That patio has always got stuff going on. They've got live music there all the time. Again, that Robust chowder is really, really good. It's $10 a bowl. They've got their shareable plates under $20, and their wine is all, if you remember, done according to body style, what they
Yeah.
call the Robust factor. You don't need a sommelier to figure out what kind of wine you want that night. Robust has just been doing it well for years. Now, this one is Scarlett's Central West End.
Yes. They've had some changes recently,
It used to
haven't
be,
they?
right, it used to be a sister concept to Sasha's, but there's a new owner, Jean-Christophe Costa. He was the longtime general manager at Achero. If you probably saw him there, if you
Okay.
didn't recognize him, very cool guy, obviously French accent with a name like that. But what he's done there in the last couple months, and he said he was going to do it, and he did, all of a sudden, this menu at Scarlett's is a French menu. We have another French restaurant in town.
Ah.
There's a niçoise salad, there's chicken cordon bleu, a beef au poivre, steak tartare, sea bass with vierge sauce.
Ooh.
Doesn't that just sound lovely?
Sounds lovely.
You know, croque monsieur, dessert crepes, all this stuff.
Sure.
And it's a completely different menu than Scarlett's had 6
Okay.
months ago. So, and it's reasonably priced. There's one to check out.
Oh, I definitely will. You know, you were talking about Robust being in Webster. So my last two are both in Webster. And the first one is Frisco Bar Room. John and Kelly Bar, you know, they're of Civil Alchemy fame, you know, K-Hall Designs. They sold that years ago. but that's where they kind of made a name for themselves. And they're really trying to turn their stretch of Webster, that old orchard area, into this kind of main street with, ice cream parlor and candy shop and, toy store and all sorts of things. But their restaurant, Frisco Bar Room, really kind of hits that note of that neighborhood restaurant.
It's really well designed,
Just
and
well-
they spared no expense in doing that place. I mean,
Yes.
it's really well done. That patio outside is just beautiful, beautifully well designed.
Gorgeous
It's got
patio.
that see-through fireplace, but again, we're going to talk about the food.
Yeah, and what I think I love about it is it's really that kind of place that appeals to, it's a Wednesday night dinner. Everyone wants something different, and you can kind of hit a note with every single person in your party there. They have burgers and sandwiches, of course, but they do a really good job with entrees. They have a house-made kielbasa. They have a bone-in pork chop, a Peruvian-style half chicken. All of those are in that kind of like mid-20s. You might see some creeping up to low 30s there, but everything's really reasonable and so well done. I'm a big fan.
The owner, like you said, Kelly Hall Bar, she grew up in Northern Michigan. So
Mhm.
you'll see some Northern Michigan influence there. The Northern Europeans settled up that way. So you'll see smoked whitefish dip on the menu. You'll see poutine on the menu because they're near Canada.
Pierogies.
You'll see pierogies
Yes.
on the menu. So if you're wondering where all that came from, it's because one of the owners grew up in Northern Michigan. But
Yeah.
man, that's just a cool place. And you can find me on the patio there at any one time.
Yeah, it's lovely. Well, last but not least, I don't know if I'd say my favorite restaurant, but I'm saving my favorite dish for last. And that is the eggplant parmesan at O+O Pizza, which is $25. I would pay $225 for this thing. It is heaven on earth. It might be my favorite thing to eat in St. Louis. So O+O Pizza has to go on my list. Now, some of their entrees are starting to get into that kind of like high 30s, but they only have a handful of them. Most of the restaurant, what I think of them for, besides the eggplant parmesan, are those fantastic pastas.
Yes.
They have some of the most creative, interesting, well-executed pastas, I think, in town. I'm thinking things like one with morels, asparagus, port wine demi-cream. They have another one. It has chorizo mushrooms, mint, stracciatella cheese. So they should call it O+O
Pizza and pasta.
Pizza and
Absolutely.
pasta.
And this is Chef Mikey Risk.
Oh,
and
Mikey's
he's
so
so
wonderful.
talented. And yes, Mikey is older than 12, even though his name's Mikey. But what the other thing that he has there, I don't know how long it's been since you've had it, is a Caesar salad. Their Caesar
Oh,
salad
their Caesar salad's great.
has warm croutons,
Yeah.
and they've got giant warm croutons. They're
Oh.
1-inch cubes, and they serve their Caesar salad with a steak knife just so you can negotiate those croutons. And
They're
the,
so
and the
good.
dressing is good. It might be the best and most unusual Caesar salad in town. I was just talking to Mikey the other day. Here's something, Cheryl, you probably don't even know. His pizzas are so wonderful, right? What are they doing? They are tinkering with something. And he said, don't call me out on this. They are playing with Provel cheese.
Ooh.
And they are discussing possibly incorporating a St. Louis night, or maybe make it with half Provel and half mozzarella. Anyway, they're tinkering with the use of Provel
love
cheese.
it.
So we might see that in the near future.
Oh, that's wonderful. I
At-
trust Mikey on it. I mean, he's pretty magical. So if he says it's good, we'll go with it.
Yeah, he kind of said it like don't, I don't know what you're going to think about this. I said, I think it's a great idea. I don't have to do it every night.
Yeah.
So anyway, that'll be something else to look forward to. One of the best restaurants in the city.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't realize that.
Yep. Well, I guess we've given everyone a pretty good start here, more than we could have imagined, right?
It went on a little longer than I thought, but I think it's a great list, and I think it's a valuable list. And I think, again, people want to know these kind of restaurants. And we've got a whole bunch more
Yes,
that are
we do.
coming in the next episode, part 2 of our great places to eat that are inexpensive. And those will be more international, more ethnic, more really all across the board, anything probably but in the US of A.
Sure. Stay tuned.
We'll be right back. This episode is supported by Genesis of St. Charles. Just 20 minutes from downtown St. Louis, Missouri's only standalone Genesis dealership is now open. Experience luxury like never before at Genesis of St. Charles, located at 5601 Veterans Memorial Parkway. Providing a vast selection of new and luxury used vehicles, the dealership offers competitive prices on every model on the lot.
Take a trip to visit their brand new showroom or go to genesisofstcharles.com to discover unparalleled sophistication today.
So that brings us to the last part of our broadcast today. It's our micro rant, and we have fun with this every week, and it's something that people can always identify with. Cheryl, this is one of yours. This is cheap paper napkins.
Oh my gosh, it irks me to no end. I'm not saying you have to spring for the finest linen, but it needs to be thicker than a Kleenex. It's one of those things where it's like maybe they feel that they're saving money, but I need to grab 30 of them in order to like fashion one respectable napkin. So I don't understand. And I think of this, I juxtapose the terrible napkins with it's my happiest place on earth. I talk about them too much, but Parker's Table gives you the most respectable to-go napkin that's out there. It's thick. Like sometimes I look at it, I'm like, is this 5 stacked together? It's not. It's one nice substantial one. I only need to use one of them. It's so lovely and so refreshing.
And the alternative a lot of the time are those cheap diner-style dispenser napkins, like you said, see-through. They're like onion skin. Here's a secondary rant to your rant. Those are especially bad when they load them into those dispensers backwards, so you can't pull 1 or 2 out with the fold out.
Yes.
So you've got to pull like 12 of them or 15, and you're sitting there with 12 napkins you don't.
Yes, exactly. And, obviously, if I'm at an ice cream shack or somewhere inexpensive like that, okay,
you expect
fine.
it.
But somewhere where I'm actually like paying $20 a head, $30 a head for a fast casual to-go thing, give me a decent napkin.
Exactly. Spring for the extra penny for that napkin.
I would gladly pay it.
That's it for this week. Be sure to follow us and share with your friends. And we always provide links in the show notes for everything you heard about today. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and follow along on Instagram at St. Louis Mag. And feel free to give us a follow personally at George Mahey and Cheryl A. Bear.
If you loved what you heard, show us some love by rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. And if you're hungry for even more content, you can subscribe to our dining newsletters for the freshest coverage on the local restaurant and culinary scene.
Best dishes, and see you next time.